Hello, welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing.
This movie is definitely the most fun I've had in a theater so far this year. My showing was a 3D screening of the film, and I think this 3D was actually very well done. So that's 2 for 2 out of 3D movies I've seen this year, and I'm not a fan at all of the 3D format. But I think it was used effectively and had some very cool elements to it. Overall, I was pretty excited for this film, and Marvel showed that they really can do no wrong. Even when they tried to sell us, the audience, a raccoon and a living talking tree as superheroes. Nonetheless, the whole team is also ex-cons. Sounds like a pretty crazy idea, all while floating in space a la Star Wars. But it really works. So, what exactly did Guardians of the Galaxy do right? Well, first off, I think the cast was overall strong. Chris Pratt showed that he can lead a film, even when he steps out from behind the little Lego man. I always loved Zoe Saldana, and she continued to enamor me, even through green makeup and a slight cheek prosthetics. I even thought Dave Bautista, while by far the weakest actor in live action in the film, was serviceable throughout the film. Pulled off that very literal character pretty well. I think he could have handled some of the emotion and, development of the actual character and giving depth better, but he was serviceable, and you more or less bought him as Drax. I'll go into Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel's characters, who I loved, but overall I think their vocal talents were a little bit wasted. Bradley Cooper was almost unrecognizable, and I wasn't quite sure if that was because of his own vocal work, or if they used some sort of voice technology to alter his voice, because it literally did not sound like him at all. If that was his actual voice, then Bradley Cooper was the best actor in this film, because he was completely unrecognizable. You never thought Bradley Cooper when you heard Rocket Raccoon, speak throughout the film. If it was a voice altering, then really any actor could have done it. I'm going to give Bradley the benefit of the doubt and say he did an amazing job with his vocal work. Vin Diesel, again, it could have been anybody. It was, again, unrecognizable, and anybody could have delivered those lines in his role. So, that's my opinion there. But I thought overall the supporting cast was really strong as well, and they all made it pretty believable overall, because this is an outlandish story with outlandish characters set in outer space. So, it was just nice to have some actors who grounded the material a little bit. As I said, this movie is just flat out fun. It's probably one of the funniest movies I've seen all year. I thought they delivered great one-liners, some great situational comedy. Overall, the movie basically is a comedy disguised as an action superhero film. It's very funny, it's very amusing, and it is fit for all ages. I think young kids will love it, adults will love it, everybody will love the movie. Now, my favorite character happens to be the one that I said could have been replaced by anyone. I thought Groot was fantastic, and I think he's just that kind of character that I always tend to go toward. I know Rocket Raccoon is getting all the hype as the show stealer, and everybody's just loving them some Rocket, but really I thought Groot stole the show. He had so much heart, and even though he could only say one line throughout the whole film, you just felt him. You felt his compassion, and he was just adorable. And there's really one super adorable scene starring Groot that I'm not going to spoil for you. He just had a warm aura about him that I really appreciated. So it was a CGI character, voiced by Vin Diesel, that had so much heart and so much warmth, and connected so well, I think, to the audience. So I loved Groot, and I think the whole team meshed really well. I thought the action was also very well done. The CGI and all of the sequences really worked well together to create something, again, although this is outlandish, was believable. And you just were along for the ride. It's not something you're going to be thinking about, the morals or the story too far after you leave the theater, but you definitely are going to be thinking about the movie because you just will have such a good time, I promise. So what did Guardians of the Galaxy not do so well? As I just stated, this story is not all that strong. I think it definitely could have gone deeper. We could have understood these characters deeper. I think they tried to develop, especially Star-Lord, throughout the film. But the other characters, really, we get small glimpses into their backstory. One reason I think Rocket Raccoon was so great in the movie, outside of his humor, which is what he's really getting praised for, is that he had a great monologue. The best monologue about why he is how he is and how it's affected him as a creature in this universe in the film. And I think it was the most impactful, powerful moment of the entire movie. It had the most heart in Rocket Raccoon's one monologue about how he became the little raccoon he is now, and how people's comments and how, basically his tough guy persona is just an outer level exterior for what's lying inside because of what's happened to him in his past. And I thought it was great. But Gamora has an awesome backstory that we're hinted at, but we never get to go through. Groot, again, we were hinted at. There's nobody else really left like him in the universe, but other than that, how did he come to meet Rocket? Rocket's story, again, is told a little bit through his monologue and through some other things. And we don't really get to understand that, and Drax has to verbally tell us his story throughout the thing, and it's like, okay, and like I said, Bautista's not able to really give us that emotional impact we want with the emotional story he's delivering as an actor, so we're never able to connect to him on an emotional level. He's more of, again, just comedy. So I think that's where Guardians really does fail. You have a great time, but once you start pushing the one-liners and the comedy out of the way, you realize you're left with a somewhat barren story overall. It's very generic, and it doesn't go deep, really, into any of the characters. And the most shallow of all the characters I haven't even talked about, and that is our villain, Ronan, and his henchmen and sidekicks. I think they are completely undeveloped. He's just a very run-of-the-mill villain. And we don't really we don't care about the villain, I think, at all. I didn't really care about the villain. He's just a bad guy with bad guy henchmen. Thanos was there, which actually detracts Ronan, I think, because it's just like, oh, you're just Thanos' henchman. Cool. So I think definitely Marvel does have a problem with villains overall, and this is just another example of a villain we don't care at all about. It's very much like Thor: The Dark World, where we didn't care about, the elf, the dark elf that was in that movie either. Although I think they did a pretty alright job in the trailers trying to introduce these characters to people, so at least pique their interest. As I said, we don't really get much development outside of Star-Lord, and even he could have had more development from the characters themselves. Some of the actual mythology is still very confusing. Yeah, so we're collecting these stones and this and that, and we're trying to put it all together into this one universe, and we know that Thanos is going to, cross over to Avengers. It just is, this movie is part of a jumbled mess of mythology, and they couldn't really delve into these characters in this one film, so I do think it lacked on that front. But overall, I definitely recommend Guardians of the Galaxy. It is a blast, and if you're just looking for a fun romp in the theater, this is definitely the movie to go check out. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's 2 hours of pure fun, pure awesomeness. 2 thumbs up for Guardians. Just wish there was a little bit more backstory lying underneath all those jokes. So, that is my review of Guardians of the Galaxy. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't be afraid to click subscribe down below, and don't be afraid to check out my next video, or any of the videos listed on my channel. I thank you so much for watching. Love you for your support, and I'll see you next time. Bye.